Well, hello boys and girls, welcome to Cooking with Steven and Jacqueline. Today we're going to show you how to smoke up some rib tips. Rib tips are what you get after trimming a full back of spare ribs to St. Louis style ribs. So let's sit back and enjoy the ride.
So folks, let's go season our rib tips, and here's our ingredients.
You will need Uncle Steve's Shakes, Lucky Shake, Smoked Bum, a Lunacy Q'ing, Vaca Rub, or use your favorite barbecue seasoning, example S.P.G, and butter.
Well folks, here I have saved the rib tips and the breastbone from a full rack of spare ribs which I trimmed down to the St. Louis style. Here I have already trimmed off the excess fat and any stragglers which will burn while smoking the rib tips and breastbone. Well folks, here I am using mustard as a binder. This will help the seasoning to adhere to the rib tips and breastbone. You just want to spread a light layer of mustard on both sides of the protein. And for those of you who are doing this the first time, no, you would not taste the mustard after you have smoked your protein. Here I have a couple of ribs which I trimmed off the spear and I just cored the membrane with the knife. So I'll just continue doing this off camera and I'll bring you guys right back when we are ready to season our rib tips. Now it's time to get our first layer of seasoning on our rib tips, and our first seasoning is going to be Uncle Steve's Lucky Shake. This is a very coarse seasoning which is going to create a nice back, and it also has a citrus note to its flavor. And remember folks, we are applying 2 other layers of seasoning, so you just want to apply each coat lightly. Our second layer of seasoning is going to be also Uncle Steve's Smoke Bomb, and this is going to add another layer of smoky goodness. I will have the link to Uncle Steve's website in the show notes below. And of course, all you want to do is pat that seasoning in, you don't want to rub the rub. And for our final rub, we're going to be using a rub called Vaca Rub. This rub was created by Lunacy Q'ing. I will have a link to his website in the show notes below. This seasoning has some cumin, sugar and some other spicy notes that it will go great on our rib tips, and please don't forget to season the sides. After you finish seasoning the sides and the underside, you want to flip them over and season the presentation side, and I'll do this off camera and bring you guys back when the rib tips are all seasoned up. Now that our rib tips are all seasoned up, you want to place them on a wire rack and let it sit in the fridge for a couple hours so that the seasoning can get a chance to soak in. In the meanwhile,
don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and click the post notifications for more.
Well folks, here I have the chaba set up for some indirect cooking. All you need to do is light about 8 to 10 coals in one corner, and the rest of the coals are going to ignite as the cook progresses. This is called the minion method. There you can see I have 3 small chunks of apple wood, and this is going to give us that smoke for our rib tips. As you can see, I also have a water pan, and this is to create a bit of moisture. You want your ambient temperature to be around 250 to 275 degrees Fahrenheit. Here I'm just burning off the grill grate from the last cook. After doing this, you want to take half of an onion and rub it along the grill grates. This is going to help clean them. After doing this, you want to throw the half of onion into the hot coals, and this is going to add some flavor to your rib tips. Now that our grill is ready, we're going to put the cover on and get some smoke rolling. Well guys, 20 minutes has gone by and our grill has come up to temp, so let's get those rib tips on. What you want to do at this time is place the rib tips opposite the hot coals, and this is what you call indirect cooking. Now that the rib tips are on, we're going to let this go for 1 hour before we check it again. So let's put the cover on and let the chaba do its thing. And in the miracle of time, 1 hour has gone by. So now we're going to move around the rib tips to get some even cooking going on. You may not have to do this if you have one of those fancy smokers. Here I'm just checking to make sure if the bark is set, and if your finger comes off clean, that means you're good to go. If you find the rib tips looking a bit dry, you just want to give it a light misting of plain old water. So we're going to put the cover on and we're going to let this go for another 45 minutes to 1 hour. Now we're going to make up our Dr. BBQ Bourbon Sauce, and here's our ingredients.
You will need regular barbecue sauce, bourbon barbecue sauce, honey, pepper flakes, cayenne pepper, unsalted butter, and S.P.G.
So folks, for our Dr. Bourbon BBQ Sauce, we are going in first with a half cup of a regular barbecue sauce. And of course, you can go in with any barbecue sauce of your choice. Remember folks, it's all about what you like. And here's the magic folks. Here I have a brown sugar bourbon barbecue sauce. You want to add about half a cup to the mix, more or less. Now into the mix we're going to be adding a combination of red pepper flakes and cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon each. You know it's all about that heat folks. And to help bring out those flavors, we're going to add about a half a teaspoon of S.P.G. And next in the pool we are going in with about a quarter cup of honey, and this is going to add flavor and also some sweetness to the mix. Now all you got to do is give this a good old swirl and make sure that all those flavors come together. So we're going to head outside and put the sauce on the grill for it to warm up. Well folks, here we are on the outside again and our rib tips are looking mighty fine. So it's time to get our sauce on the grill for it to warm up. This will only take a few minutes. Now that the sauce is all warmed up, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter and remove the sauce from directly over the heat. This is to prevent the butter from breaking. If the butter breaks, it's going to give us an oily product and we don't want this. Well folks, it's about 2 hours since our rib tips are on the grill, and here you can see that they're looking mighty fine. I've gotten the color I wanted and the bark is all set. So now it's time to move on to the next step. Well, for the next step it's going to be easy peasy. Here we're going to put down a couple parts of unsalted butter, followed by a couple shakes of brown sugar, followed by a drizzle of honey, about a tablespoon or so. And for the star of the show, we are going in with our doctored up honey brown sugar spicy bourbon barbecue sauce. Now that the usual suspects are down, it's time to add your rib tips. Doing this is going to help your rib tips to get super tender as it braises into that lovely butter and honey and barbecue sauce. Doing this next step here is optional, but I like to repeat the same process by adding the butter, the brown sugar, and also a little bit of that barbecue sauce. All that's left to do now is to take your foil and wrap your rib tips tightly. Doing this is going to help your rib tips to braise in the juices and get super tender, and also help the cooking process to go faster. And of course you want to wrap it in double foil, and this is going to help to prevent any leaking. So folks, here we are back outside again, and we're going to put our wrapped rib tips opposite the hot coals, and we're going to let this do its thing for about another 30 to 45 minutes. So I'll see you guys in 45 minutes, or as my brother Ron from Four Seasons Barbecue would say, in a blink of an eye. And in a miracle of time, about 40 minutes has gone by, so it's time to open up the foil. But please be careful because there's going to be a lot of steam coming out. We're going to check for tenderness by using a toothpick. As you can see, we are probing nice and tender, so let's move on to the final step. Now that the rib tips are nice and tender, you want to take the foil and fold it down to create what you call a foil boat. After making the foil boat, you want to flip the rib tips meat side up. And let me tell you, the rib tips are feeling super tender. And of course, you want to do the same with the other rib tips. After doing this, it is now time to apply some of our doctored up barbecue sauce. And you can go as heavy or as light as you want with the barbecue sauce. It's all about your preference. After you have finished putting on the sauce, you want to cover down the pit and let it go for about 10 to 15 minutes so that the sauce can get nice and tacky.
And remember guys, we will have the full ingredients listed in the show notes below.
So folks, it's about that time and our rib tips are done. Here you can see we have gotten a nice bark. So let's head inside, get this all plated up, fasten our seatbelts and get ready for a drive-by. Let's go!
So boys and girls, here's our delicious smoked rib tips, and it was so tasty. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the post notifications for more videos. See you all on our next cooking journey, and we're out until next time.